The self-worth struggle is very real. As much as we want to believe positive self-talk, there are things that are not easily ignored or avoided. Hi, this is Julie with Radical Purity God's Way, and we're going to talk about obesity today. Being slightly overweight is fine, truly, and is actually more easily accepted. Once you leave size 14 behind, however, the dynamics drastically change. It is no longer acceptable and is seen as unhealthy, disgusting, and ugly by many. Most times by the very person themselves. Now, I should start by saying that I am morbidly obese. I have spent most of my life as a morbidly obese person. From high school onward, I've been about 280 pounds and a 5'4" frame. Not attractive by any stretch of the imagination. Now, you don't have to tell me I'm not attractive. I'm fully aware of it. In fact, to create this blog, I decided to verify the obesity level of my own life and was shocked to my core again at just how morbidly overweight I truly am. Today, I weigh somewhere between 220 to 225. My ideal weight, according to the Navy's height and weight chart, is 156 pounds. When you consider that anyone at or above 20% higher than their ideal weight is morbidly obese, I'm in crazy trouble. The math would determine that being at or above 187 pounds puts me in the morbidly obese category, and by my own admission, I am 38 pounds above that number, for a total of nearly 70 pounds above my ideal weight. Okay, enough about me for now. Although I have to say that discovering this has actually motivated me to change some habits starting now. But this isn't for this blog. Rather, that'd be better expressed later when I've actually made changes, not just spoke about them. As is often the case with me, I digress, so let's get back on track. There is a multitude of reasons why being morbidly obese is a difficult thing to overcome in regards to self-worth. Now, the first reason is because we know that we are viewed as ugly and disgusting and lazy and other such things. It isn't hidden knowledge. How many obese actors and actresses actually exist and thrive in Hollywood? Very few. Now, how many morbidly obese actors and actresses are doing well in Hollywood? Ask yourself this, too. How many are cast in roles with a love interest as the primary character where they are sought after and desired? Very few. I dare say that we can probably count on our two hands the number of films like this. The one that I can think of immediately is Baby Cakes with Ricki Lake, which came out in the 1980s, and of course there's Hairspray too. We see films such as Hitch and Paul Blart Mall Cop, yet despite the fact that the male lead is obese, or is Will Smith the lead in Hitch? Anyway, the leading ladies are far from obese. The same is true in the reversals as well, where the obese ladies seek fit and trim men. What is going on? There are lots of films that have obese or morbidly obese characters, but it is to mock or laugh at the fumbling and ungainly way they move through life. Consider Spy with Melissa McCarthy, where she is allowed to go undercover on a spy mission in order to help locating a missing spy. Yet, they cast her in ugly roles and personalities and such. Add to the fact that she joined the agency to be a spy herself and ends up being a desk jockey along with her friend, both of whom were not considered sexy enough to be able to do the field work. Though it all works out in the end, it is through the mockery of how one expects overweight people to be bad dressers and awkward in social situations. Now, McCarthy lost weight and lost her television series, a show about a morbidly obese married couple, where her weight loss wouldn't work on the show, and so the show was canceled. Hollywood doesn't want the obese to be healthy and in control of their lives. They want them to be mocked and kept in stigmatized roles of a miserable and lonely life as comic relief. But not because they desire to be funny, but rather because they are so clumsy and awkward that they can't help but be funny. Now, an article from CNN says, can plus-sized actors have starring roles in which their weight isn't a major part of the character or storyline? Fat chance. In an era where plus-sized, Academy Award-nominated actress Gaborni Sidby stirs negative and positive buzz by appearing in fashion magazines, weight continues to be a major topic in Hollywood and one that often creeps into storylines. And into the center of controversy. Well, it's done well so far, in the ratings, and the CPS sitcom Mike and Molly, about a couple who meet at an Overeaters Anonymous group, has drawn complaints for its abundance of fat jokes. It's also drawn cries from some viewers who aren't comfortable watching intimacy between two plus-sized actors. At this point, if a show is centered around a plus-sized or an obese character, it does seem to be a big plot line, said Lisbeth Scordo, a contributing editor for the Yahoo TV blog. With Huge, it was about a weight loss camp, and with Mike and Molly, the show's producers keep saying it's about two blue-collar people falling in love, and that is part of it. But if you've seen the show, you know there are a lot of weight jokes. The ABC Family series Huge appears to be at the other end of the spectrum. The recent cancellation of the series caused an outcry among fans, disappointed that the show would not be returning for a second season. The media has such a portrayal of what you are supposed to look like in this world, and it's not realistic, the actress said. It's a show that's showing people, hey, you look like us, and it's okay. Sasha Pasolka, who runs celebrity site Evil Beat Gossip, said TV and movies sell the fantasy of attractive people with fabulous lives. For that reason, it's a big deal when the characters vary from that. It's not just true of overweight people, she said. You never see unattractive people on TV or movies without it being an issue. It could be someone with bad skin or a limp or a burn. Anything that's not visually perfect, we have to bring up. Or it has to be like a third character. When we watch TV or movies, we feel like we need an explanation when we are not staring at a beautiful person, Pasuka said. If there is anything physically imperfect about the person we are staring at on the screen, we don't expect it, and we need to know why. You can read the entire article by visiting www.cnn.com/2010/10/20/plus.size.characters/index.html. The world tells us that we are ugly and not worth consideration as obese people. Now here is a dangerous line that is going to be unpopular to cross. There is a danger to being obese, and so the morbidly obese should not be applauded and encouraged to remain so. Okay, take a deep breath and don't freak out. I'm not saying under any stretch of the imagination that those who are obese should be bullied, teased, mocked, attacked, or ignored. I am not saying that we should be called ugly, hideous, gross, awkward, or lazy. It is never okay to treat people this way. What I am saying, however, is that we shouldn't keep selling the as long as you're happy lie. There is so much more to it. Obesity is common, serious, and costly, with more than a third of U.S. adults being classified as obese, which is about 78.6 million people. Obesity-related conditions include things like heart disease and stroke, type 2 diabetes, certain types of cancer, which are some of the leading causes of preventable death. Medical costs were about $147 billion in the U.S. Each obese patient cost approximately $1,420 more than a patient of normal weight. There is no significant relationship between obesity and education among men. Among women, however, there is a trend. Those with college degrees are less likely to have obesity compared with less educated women, and that's from the CDC. Now, it is very, very rare that a morbidly obese person is truly happy. They may put on a happy front and tell others and themselves that they don't care because they are happy with themselves. We have those that pose in underwear and bikinis online to stop fat shaming. There was a woman that stood in public in her underwear and allowed people to write on her body. While I understand the point, modesty screams in horror. And FYI, modesty screams in horror when super thin and slightly plump women do it too. Modesty doesn't judge by weight. It tells us that we must be modest regardless of our body shape. But I digress again. In our attempt to empower the obese, we are harming them. I sit there and think, well, I'm a size 14 and that's okay. But it isn't. And the reason that I'm a size 14 is that I love sugar, salty snacks, and Netflix. I'm a size 14 because I don't want to work at being less with a lifestyle change. I use food to deal with emotions and stress. That is why I was 280 pounds most of my life. I'm an emotional eater. Many of the obese people in this world, if they are honest, are obese due to their inaction and their love of food. Not lazy, just not loving exercise. I get it. I don't like exercise either. In fact, even when I think about how I know that walking or riding a bike or swimming is truly helping me, there is no euphoric joy once a workout is completed. There is no motivation to exercise the next day. I have to force myself to engage. I am not by any stretch of the imagination casting stones at anyone. In truth, this blog came as a revelation to myself this morning. There are things in our lives that we are not supposed to embrace and accept because they can truly be changed. And there are things in our lives that we shouldn't be forced to be ashamed of because they cannot be changed. Those things are few and far between. In fact, I can only think of a few: race, gender, and height. Now, an article in the National Geographic regarding gastric bypass surgery speaks of a woman in the following way. Hay, 39, is 5 feet 5 and weighs 314 pounds. She is morbidly obese, which makes her a candidate for the surgery. Her managerial level job in the Human Resources Department of a financial company demands tact, efficiency, and organization, qualities she exudes. She has a close circle of friends who would do anything for her, a clear sense of who she is, and few illusions of who she is not. She dresses stylishly, has long blonde hair swept back by a headband, a classic oval face, and fair complexion. But she is, let's face it, huge. When I ask her about her decision to have surgery, she describes the humiliation of asking for a seatbelt extender on a plane, her reluctance to go to the movies because the seats are too narrow, the time she signed up for a dating service and put down as body type a few extra pounds, got a few responses, and then, opting for honesty, changed it to large. This time she got none. She lists health problems associated with her weight: high blood pressure, varicose veins, pain and swelling in her feet and ankles, depression. You take control for a while and then you fail yet again and you're more depressed than ever. Being overweight is associated with 400,000 deaths a year and an increased risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and colon, breast, and endometrial cancers. Most poignant is the psychological pain of those stigmatized by obesity. In one study at Michigan State University, undergraduates said that they would be more inclined to marry an embezzler or cocaine user than an obese person. Last year, surgeons performed gastric bypass operations on 103,200 patients with a complication rate of 7%. Linda Hayes' 4-hour operation was complicated by pneumonia. She stayed in the hotel 5 days longer than expected. A year and a half later, she has lost 162 pounds. She feels full quickly and eats sparingly: a protein shake for breakfast, salad or sandwich for lunch, and lean cuisine for dinner. Hay has given away her size 4X clothes, buys size 10 pants, and can climb a flight of stairs without gasping for breath. And I've caught the eye of men when I go out, especially in my new convertible. Short of stapling our stomachs, will we ever solve the problem of fat? Meanwhile, the struggle has turned global. For the first time, the World Watch Institute reports there are many overfed, overweight people in the world as those who are underfed and underweight. There is no feast which does not come to an end, an ancient Chinese proverb warns. You can read the article in its entirety at science.nationalgeographic.com/science/health-and-human-body/fat-costs. All right, so we're running out of time on this podcast, so this is part 1, and if you will kindly listen to part 2, then you will get the conclusion.